Okay. Let's hope this stays live and doesn't go over into the recording, because that's what it keeps doing. So, there's a lot of people being home. There's a lot of draw on everybody's internet these days, so might have some issues. So, I put it on the cellular data. So, hopefully people will show up sooner rather than later, as always. So, I'm going to pull up a thread for some conversation. Hi, Cindy! How are we doing in the apocalypse? Although if shit keeps up, it's not going to be a joke anymore, but I guess we'll have to have a dark sense of humor until then. So. Let's see. I'm okay. I mean, I have seasonal allergies, so, I try not to panic or anything like that. Like, I wasn't feeling good the other day, but, like, my nose just wouldn't stop. I was, like, kind of, like, coughing. I have postnasal drip. I've always had it. So, but there's, like, no fever or anything like that. Plus, I haven't come into contact with anybody that I know is sick, so I'm not really worried at the moment. So, we'll see. But, how are you doing? Don't mind me, I'm just pulling up the thread. I do have the new multi-loom and the old the adjustable hat loom, because somebody, I think Amy, had asked me to talk about those too, so I have those handy. But I'm glad, Missy. I'm glad. So I know a lot of people aren't really feeling bad or feeling sick. So, there's been a whole, I've never, and no matter what group you're in, you'll always see some kind of weird dissension. But technically, fibromyalgia is not an autoimmune disease. But there are complicating issues. So depending on what those other underlying issues, like some people have lupus and they have other things, and because we're on heavy amounts of anti-inflammatories and all that other stuff. So, but the groups are ripping each other apart because people are like, everybody's scared, and I get it. We've never had to live through many years. I don't think we've really had to deal with anything kind of close to this. So I'm sure some of the older generation has. I mean, I'm 40, but I can't think of anything that remotely comes close to this if I can think about it. I mean, I lived through 9/11. I was there when the Twin Towers fell. I was literally in Chinatown. I watched the first tower. I watched the second tower get hit. I watched the first tower fall. I felt the second tower fall. I was stuck in the city till the next day. So, but. Hi Cindy, hi Debbie, hi Melissa. I think I said hi Misty. If I didn't, I know I see you. Let's see. There seems to be a serious draw on the internet today, so. Oh, yeah, let me try moving my laptop. Hi Kia, how are you? Yeah, I mean, but while it was it wasn't like this. You know what I'm saying? The SARS outbreak was bad, and again, over in China and stuff like that, and it trickled through, but it wasn't like a full major shut down the things, no shopping, no this, no that, N1H1 or H1N1, whatever it was, the swine flu. They were faster on the uptake on that one. Again, I don't know why that is, but I've been trying to read, and when it gets really jargony, I can't wrap my brains around it. But everyone's like, oh, it's like the flu, and that's what we were all saying in the very beginning. But technically, the coronavirus is an offshoot of the cold virus. Where the other ones were not, they were flu viruses and stuff like that. So it seems to be a little bit different. you know. It's really hard to get, like, actual information. I feel like that's the biggest problem right now. I've seen many people will share a headline. They'll see an article and it'll be like, you know, child of 4 almost dies because they took ibuprofen, and, you know, and then you read the article, and as you read the article, you get to the bottom and it's like, the scientists say that this isn't true. So it's like, wait a minute. So I just read this whole freaking article. You're freaking people out because, you know, people don't read all the way. So it's like, okay, they're like, there's no scientific proof that this is true. I'm like, my brain hurts. Like, I just read 9 paragraphs, and then at the end it's like, well, yeah, but there's no scientific proof that that's true. Okay. I just don't think anybody has the all of the information, so people are just clamoring and chomping at the bit for any information at all, and that's a huge problem, because it's allowing, you know, anybody who thinks that they have some kind of information to spread it, you know. You know, I'm constantly hearing people say stuff, and, you know, I talk to my mom on the phone, I talk to my sister on the phone, and they're like on 2 different categories of, you know, things. You know, my mom lives by herself, you know, but she's like 65, but she, you know, she lives by herself, she doesn't really do stuff, but she's like, you know, she's still gonna go to the store, and I'm just like, I can't, I'm just like, I'm not even gonna argue with you, you know. And then my sister's like freaking the frig out, and it's like, oh my god, and it's like, look, you're 35, both of your kids are like 8, you know, I don't know, like, you know, she's more worried about her job because she works for a company that's like refusing to close, and I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't feel like getting in trouble, but, you know, it's just nuts. It's just a crazy time. You know, I'm like, I never panic to begin with, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my husband is military, and he works for the post office now. So, you know, people are always like, beep, 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 you know, and I've lived through quite a few things where, like, some kind of information will trickle down, and it'll be like, oh my god, and we're gonna, you know, like, there was like the whole thing that Trump was gonna mobilize troops and all of this stuff, and it's like, I could be mobbed in any moment. I'm like, okay. I'm like, let me know when your orders come. When your orders come, then I'll panic. Until your orders actually come through, I'm not bothered. You know, so, like, I did go shopping, but I was going to go shopping anyway, so did I pick up, you know, an extra thing of toilet paper? Did I get extra paper towels? Yeah. Did I hoard them like a lunatic? No. Do I already have 8 bottles of alcohol in my house? Yes, because I clean with alcohol. I make essential oil sprays. So I had, I was hoarding the alcohol before this. I'm very lucky that I am at home with my kids, and you work in the schools. You know, and it's frustrating because, like, it's like, you're never going to win. You're never going to win. You know, like, my sister's in New York and I'm in Pennsylvania. Now, Pennsylvania closed the schools quickly and quicker, you know, but they only said, like, 2 weeks. They're like, all right, look, shit's happening. We're going to close for 2 weeks. We'll assess the damage at that point. And, like, my sister, it's like New York, and it's like the digits are doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling. And it's like, are you going to close the schools? And people are like, close the schools, don't close the schools, da 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 da. And it's like, you know, believe me, I live in a very depressed area, you know what I'm saying? So if you want to talk about homeless kids who don't get food, all of those things, they're here. Like, that's a lot of people that live here, you know. You have people here that still don't have internet, you know what I'm saying? Everybody has Dish Network around me because they don't have the ability to get cable lines, so which means they don't have the ability to get internet lines. You know, people around here that do have internet that don't live, like, in the township, like I live in the town, so I have physical cable. You basically have to buy a archaic cell phone plan because that's what these companies offer. And you get cellular data, which is using the satellites. But if you have a kid that's got to be home 5 days a week, be on Google Classroom from 8 to 2, those people are going to lose their internet quite quickly, you know. And it's like, okay, yeah, in New York, you know, Spectrum's offering 60 days free, but we don't have that here, you know, so... March break this week, plus they're home for 2 weeks after to be safe. You know, and that's fine. And look at this. You might be in trouble, unless you have a Dollar General next to you, near you. You might want to check, see when the truck comes. So, the problem is that, like, it's going to get bad because nobody's thinking everything all across. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, what's the deal with the toilet paper? Well, if you think about it, if you are quarantined, if you cannot leave your home, if they start shutting down the mobility of the products to get places, then people are going to run out real fast. But that's going to cause a whole nother problem entirely. That's when the nonsense starts. Like up in Binghamton, the truck at the Dollar General, the truck driver got out of his truck, was waiting for the store to open to get in, was smoking a cigarette, got jumped, and they robbed the truck. They took all the toilet paper, they took all the water, and you're going to start seeing that in places, because people are panicking. And when people panic and things like that, anybody who's lived through the riot times or things like that, people just start getting crazy, and it becomes everybody. You know what I'm saying? People see somebody else doing it, and it's a mob mentality, and that's what happens. That's what started the toilet paper thing, is because you have those people that were glomming it up, and now everybody's glomming it up, and then you have people that didn't either get it, or elderly who don't get to go out. They only go out once a month. So I mean, it'd be nice if the world could be nice, and come together in some kind of solidarity. My sister had posted something about, after 9/11, we came together as people, kind of after Sandy, we came together as a people. And I hate to be like the Debbie Downer, or be like the not nice person about it, but it's like, people were dead. They were dead. That was it. They were dead. There was no fixing that. There was no saving that. There was only, where do we go from here? Here, people are getting sick constantly. No one has answers. People are dying. They're saying, okay, only if you're in this age range you're dying, but then, a couple of people here and there are dying. All right, well, if you're immune compromised, what does immune compromise mean? Then people are fighting about what that means. So, there's just so much time for this animal to grow. And there is no time to be together and to be nice to each other and do the kumbaya-ing, because nobody has answers. Every time you turn on the radio, every time you turn on the TV, every time you talk to your friend on Facebook, somebody's talking about it. So hell, I'm fucking talking about it. Someone here broke windows out of a car to steal toilet paper, assholes. Yeah, I went to the store to get milk the other day, and I never lock my car. And I just see something, you know what? And that's just a bad mindset, in the sense that, I feel that I had to. I had 5 gallons of milk, some chocolate milk, and we're not out of milk. I mean, but it's coming. The area around me wasn't out of milk, but it was it's coming. So, everybody around us is out of toilet paper, and they're out of water, but, I mean, some of the stores are restocking. But now you're seeing that they're closing down the rest stops, which is a huge problem. Because if you close down the rest stops, where are the truckers going to get gas? Where are they going to stop to get gas? Where are they going to stop to sleep? Because now what's happening is they're creating another problem where the truckers can't go and sleep in the rest stops, and they're piling up along the highway. And the reason that the rest stops were designed was because that's a huge problem. My husband, worked for towing and wrecking and stuff like that, and shit on the highway, and in certain spots, it's like, you got to get that shit out of the way. You can't have wrecks on the highway. You can't have these people stopped on the side of the road. It's not happening. They gotta go, But if you stop the trucking industry, if you cause them a problem, you're creating a new problem without without thinking it through. I know we need to be quick on the uptake. People are like, oh, the president didn't do this and that person didn't do that, and I'm like, yes and no, because again, you only have so much to do. What do? You put the world on lockdown? Okay, we're declaring martial law. You have people posting, it's like, look how quickly you gave your government all your shit away. Now you're having people in Florida, all these people, they're partying and they're doing this and they're refusing to leave and they're refusing to stop, and some of the businesses are refusing to close, and they're spreading it and they're starting to get sick. And it's like, are you stupid? I know you're young and you want to enjoy your life, but you're not going to be able to live your life, or you're going to get the coronavirus and go home to poor Nana that you'll cry and have, my Nana died because I brought home the coronavirus because I had to go dance on the beach. I know young and stupid, but this is beyond young and stupid. This is just beyond, this is just ridiculous. So, I was looking right now. Yeah, somebody brought that up. There was I guess an episode of Taboo or whatever it is. There was a woman that ate toilet paper, And somebody's like, that poor lady's going to die soon because, she's not going to have... Well, maybe she's stocked up. Maybe that's where all the toilet paper is. That's why nobody can get toilet paper. But, I'm sorry, people are inherently selfish. Can we not be? Can more than not, at times, can people be better than that? Yeah, but I think as a group, almost as mankind, people are inherently selfish because if anybody's watched Rick and Morty, like there's the thing where they make fun of the purge, and at the very end it's like, okay, they kill all the rich people, and then it's like, all right, well, how are we gonna live? And it's like, oh, well, who's gonna make the food? Well, I'll make the food. Okay, so, well, then who's gonna watch my kids while I make the food? Well, I'll watch your kids for extra food, and it quickly descends because immediately all anybody really cares about is themselves. And it digresses back into this whole purge system. So, they closed the airports here yesterday, and only the residents and citizens can come in. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't be a dick, but in a way I do. It's like, okay, we're going to shut down the airports, right? In this city, and that city, and that city. Oh, and by the way, you can't fly out of Florida because you don't live here. Now what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? You can't go home. They're going to cry. And we have become a culture that cares so much about my rights, my liberties, and things like that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, but at the detriment of what? You know what I'm saying? There comes a point where, you can't, in one argument, want to bail out, want to hand out, want free this, free that, free this. And then you're like, wait a minute. What? I can't go home? Why can't I go home? Well, because the world is under quarantine and you're a jackass and you shouldn't have gone. Where is it okay to say, okay, punishment needs to be had? People are going to bitch. They're like, well, I need to keep my livelihood. I keep my business open. PA just announced that as of midnight Saturday, if you are a non-life essential business and you are open, you will be fined, and it will be ridiculous because the governor's like, I asked nicely for people to respect and at least close for a week or so. And the businesses basically said, fuck you, and we're going to stay open. So he's like, well, now I have to mandate it. Now I'm telling you, you have to close. So, it's, but that's the whole thing is like, they're starting, and I don't know what the truth is. They're saying that, people might have been sick before, had you been, really sick and you had these symptoms and things like that, but, you got tested for the flu and they said you didn't have the flu, so you probably had the coronavirus. But the coronavirus existed before that. I don't know if I said it last week, I think I did, was that my dad, not this strain, but my dad had the coronavirus when he had his cancer treatments. And all these people are like, oh, why are they making such a big deal? Corona's been around forever. Yes, it has, but it's a different strain of the virus, which changes things. Upstairs.
Can I just sit here?
No.
No one can see me.
Daddy can see me, and I can tell Daddy to come down here and get you.
Okay, let me see.
So, Daddy, come down here and get them, because they're down here.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Wait one.
So, hi, Christy. Yeah, I know. I found them, thank you. Delayed on the text. They were here before you got there. So, all right, go. I love you. Okay, go.
I see Daddy come. And he picks
she's testing you. She just said, Daddy, come down here, so. Okay, cute. Assert your parental authority now. So, this is the generation.
Okay.
So, and I'm live, so I can't kick the crap out of her. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of us are fucking coronavirus out. I really couldn't care.
I'm gonna do that.
Do what?
Like what we did. Like what we did.
Go.
Can I goon hand him, or is it on
Yes.
video? Come on, buddy. You want a pet? Come on, no.
Trying the patience. Anyway. But anyway, like I was saying, I'm personally coronavirused out, but I absolutely will talk about it if that's what, everybody wants to talk about. I'm not anybody of importance. I don't have the right information. I can only speak from my own opinion, which, I do that anyway, but yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you heard her. She's screaming from the other room, "You can't get me, you can't get me." It's like, yeah, you think? Yeah. But, you know, like I said, the problem is there's just so much disinformation. There's so much lack of information. And people are just glomming up anything that they hear and sharing it because, you know, you think that you're doing the right thing. You know, I mean, at this point, the only thing that they do know is that it spreads quickly. You know, we can have an idea of certain things. You know, are people getting better? Are people surviving it? Sure. You know, are the death tolls that bad? No. But if we don't stem it, if we don't do something, you know, then it's going to be, you know, I don't know how many people pay attention to all of the news because a lot of it isn't getting out of China. It wasn't getting out of China. Is that they were barricading people in their homes. They weren't treating people anymore. They said, fuck it. We're like, no, people are sick in this place. Yeah, we're just going to seal the doors. They were literally welding doors closed and not allowing people. There are tons and tons of people, like one woman standing there banging a thing, saying her mother's dying and somebody please help her. And she's just banging the thing and she's crying. And it's like, you want to talk about like our government is like saying, listen, just do us a favor and stay home so we don't have to be a bunch of dicks. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, look at what true, you know, communism looks like. You know, the evil twin of socialism, like the gently tipping scales of socialism, because it can very easily, with the wrong kind of people, turn into that. You know, and it's like, yeah, we're just going to seal you up. We're just going to whatever. And, you know, we're not going to let information out. We're not going to let everybody, you know, give the information out. They're looking for the British reporters that are feeding information out of the country. They're trying to find them and get rid of them. American reporters, they're trying to find them and get rid of them because they don't want them to get around. They're trying to shut down the internet. They're trying anything they can to get any information out. You know what I'm saying? They're not sharing information either. You know, they want to say, oh, well, you know, we shut down these hospitals and people are getting better and the death rates have slowed and the infection rates have slowed. Yeah, great. Because you let people just die. And if we did that here, forget about it. We'd all be dead because nobody would listen anymore. You know what I'm saying? In Italy, they're being told to stay in their houses and the death rates, you know, they're basically saying, you know, we have to prioritize the life. You know, you've lived enough life as far as we are concerned. So, yeah, we're just going to let you go. So, again, if we did that here, people would fucking lose their marbles. So it's like, don't let it get that far. You know, that's the problem, is that it got that far because nobody wanted to just say, okay, stop. Listen, you know, fucking ice, you know, ice baby. Okay. Anyway, it was a really bad joke. You know, I don't think Cindy's on, but Cindy Skaggs said something. She went to the grocery store and around the parking lot were face masks and people throwing, you know, being so nasty and just not throwing it in the trash. If you see any kind of like protest or whatever, the best are like the leftist protests, you know, about the climate control and this and stuff like that. And you see the fucking tragedy of mess that they leave. Again, I would love to say that humanity as a whole is a good thing, but we prove hand over fist that we're not. You know what I'm saying? You know, could we be better? Should we be better? Absolutely, 100%. You know, I mean, it's not gonna, you know, we're not gonna reach a utopian society. What's not gonna fucking happen, you know? And it's good that there are good people in the world, as much as they get kind of crushed under toe. But again, you look at, like, again, all of these other places, you know, they don't care because it's about me. Oh, you are here. Hi. I must have missed you. I saw the other Cindy pop up. I didn't see you pop up. Again, it's just sad. It's just sad, you know, we'll have that argument. People are like, oh, people are inherently good. I don't think that's the case. I think people are inherently bad. You know, and they learn that it's bad and then choose to continue to do it in a sense. Like if you think about a child, like when you take something away from a child, they have to learn. It's like, well, I want this. Why can't I have it? Give it to me. Scream, yell, throw a fit, blah, 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 blah. You know, because inherently we want something and we don't understand why we shouldn't, couldn't, whatever have it. you know, and, you know, because you can't sometimes you just can't have everything, you know, it's, you know, how many people live beyond their means, you know, how many times you hear those people that it's like, oh, they drive their Escalade and they have their cars and they're always getting their hair done and their nails done and all of this stuff and whatever. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, you're like, what happened to them? It's like, yeah, well, they repossessed everything because they didn't actually own anything because, you know, they wanted to live this lifestyle where somebody lost a job or somebody got a pay cut and they can't keep up this bullshit lifestyle that they were living. I lived in Staten Island. I saw tons of that. You know, absolutely people living outside their means, people absolutely, you know, buying everything on credit and not really being able to afford it, you know? So, it's sad. Let me see. Sue said, you know, like, listen, I was in New York during 9/11. I saw that people, you know, that they loved each other and, you know, it's like, oh, stand with our country and, you know, we rallied against the common enemy, you know, and that's part of that, why that worked per se, because it's us versus them. There is no us versus them in this case because it's us versus us because you don't know who's sick, who's not. There's no way to know that. You know, you don't know who's compromised, who's not compromised, who's not being quarantined, who's not taking the proper precautions. And that's what's happening, you know. So, you know, I don't want to get sick. I don't want my kids to get sick. I don't care if my kids aren't going to die. Like, if anybody is a mom and your kids get terribly, terribly sick, like, I don't want that anyway. Yeah, okay, great, thank you. My children will survive the coronavirus. You know, my mom survived fucking a lot of things. You know what? Her immune system is completely compromised now because when she was a kid, she got sicknesses that she shouldn't have had, you know, that were ridiculous, you know. And now she literally, my nephew and nieces fucking sneeze on her and she's fucking sick for a week. You know? I mean, my immune system, I used to get the flu like once every year. I'd be sick for like 3 or 4 days. I got the flu like 2 or 3 years ago, and my husband, who's on here, will attest. I was sick for a fucking month. A month. I actually had flu symptoms for over a week, and it took me almost 3 weeks to be a person again. They had to give me steroids because I still couldn't eat. I was still a mess. I was very weak. It was terrible. So it's like, why? Yeah, okay, thank you. I'll survive. Awesome. You know, but then all the drugs and all this other stuff, and now people are spreading things that, you know, the drug companies are doubling the price of the medications to fight the coronavirus. It's like, again, selfish. Where's this coming from? So, oh, stop it. Listen, if you die now anyway, I'm not going to get the payment, so, you know. No, he's in the army, so. If he drops dead, I'd probably get $750,000 at this point. So, yeah, it was terrible, you know. So, and who knows? Again, when everybody was getting that really bad stomach virus and everybody's getting really, really sick, how do we know that wasn't it? You know, how do we know that's not where it started or it was a version of it? You know, because that came out of nowhere. Yeah, usually people get a stomach bug, they're sick for a day, but people are sick for like a week. Longer, so you know what I'm saying? Like, to see your child in pain in any way, shape, or form, and I know that could be absolutely terrible, especially when the words "ride it out" are a part of your conversation at times. It's like, you know, all right, well, he's having a seizure, I kind of just have to ride it out, I have to let it take its course. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who you are, I don't care what kind of mother you are, that's not what you want to see. That's, you know what you have to do. But I'm sure every seizure is like a horror show for you, you know? So, I think it's more than that. You might want to check. Anyway, let's see. You know, and I understand, like, that, you know, and our governor said this, and it's not going to matter to people. It's like, you know, before we can preserve, you know, your livelihood, we want to preserve life. Won't matter about your livelihood if you're dead, you know, and that's fine. But if you're not giving a complete reassurance that, like, hey, stay the fuck home. Don't go to fucking work because we got it covered. You know, you're not going to have to worry about paying this or worrying about paying that. You know, we're going to just put it all on hold for at least a month. Say, everybody stay home for a month. You don't have to pay any of your utilities, whatever. Make the government subsidize something. I don't give a flying fuck, you know. But then just give that insurance. It's like, you know, all right, yeah, you're going to give everybody, and like, because people are always going to say something. It's like, all right, well, if this stimulus package, I'm going to give $1,000 to every person, you know, and $500 for every dependent. You're always going to have those people that's like, well, that's not going to cover my rent. That's not going to cover my car payment and my mortgage. And that's not enough. And it's like, we can go back to nothing. Can we go back to nothing? Sure we can. We can go back to big fat zero. So you're still not working. You're still not getting crap. We're still not going to give you anything. So, you know, I understand what it feels like. Maybe because I've been in spots in my life where, like, I literally have to pray for money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, where it's like, I don't know where the next thing is going to come or come from. You know, I've lived many, many years with my head barely above the water, you know, but I make it work. I make it happen, you know, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're like, all right, something's got to give. You got to give something up. So, you know, if they say, listen, you know, they're going to repossess cars, but you're not going to be penalized for it. Well, then I don't know. I don't know the answer, you know, but, you know, it's like, oh, they're tanking the economy on purpose. It's like, I don't think anybody's doing anything on purpose, because if it stops, nobody makes money. So, while absolutely a moral play of truth, you know, people's lives are more important than things and stuff. You'll be hard-pressed to find enough people that really feel that way. You know, people who never went without, people who truly don't know what it feels like to string it along or to suffer, to have any kind of concept seeing anyone else suffer or anything. They don't have any idea. Their entire life is based around stuff. You know, my husband's brother is literally the epitome of somebody who's surrounded by stuff, you know. He just keeps filling that hole of life with stuff and money. And it's like, I make over $1 million and I'm the dog man to the stars. And my dogs sell for this kind of money. And he's got all this stuff. He's got bling bling. He can talk his shit and whatever the case may be. You know what? He's very unhappy. Want to know why? Because stuff and money don't mean shit when you don't have the things that really are the foundation that those things make better. You know what I'm saying? That's why people can be envious of the life I live with my husband, because we know what it's like to fight. We know what it's like to love. We know what it's like to struggle and things like that. And we painfully sometimes work through it. It's not the easy way out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, well, I woke up today and I don't feel like you today. So fuck off, pack up. You know, I wake up some days, and I'm sure he wakes up some days where it's like, I'm just not feeling you today. Go to the other side of the house. You know what I'm saying? I'll come back to you tomorrow, you know? You know? But those are the things that people don't appreciate, you know? You know, and I get it. Like, again, you're talking about all these kids that are in fucking Florida. They don't understand that, because their life is about that. This is the prime of their life, and the party and the this and the that and whatever, and you're taking that away from them, you know? It's like, oh, you know, so-and-so is going to be so upset because they're not going to be able to graduate and they're not going to be able to go to prom. And I understand that those are life moments, and I understand that. But is it really going to matter if you don't have those life moments, if you lose life, if you lose people in your life? But people don't get that. They don't understand that you know, the beyond me, beyond the selfish points, you know? Like, you know, like my sister, you know, she brought her kids over to my mom's house, and I'm sorry, I know my mother's immune compromised, and so does she in a way, but she's not going to turn the kids away. She loves them and stuff like that, you know, and I'm not going to tell her to turn the kids away per se, you know, but if my mom gets sick, then what? I know my sister would never forgive herself if my mom got sick. In the long run, she would never forgive herself, you know, so we have to understand that, you know, Teddy's immune compromised, you know what I'm saying, and her daughter has to go to work, and the kids come over. And nobody would ever want that. I know Erin would be absolutely crushed if something happened to her mother. I know that Teddy would never not watch her grandkids, because that's a joy to her regardless. Again, she would put herself in harm's way rather than not see her babies. But if people would just shut it down and whatever, we wouldn't have to worry about those things. We wouldn't have to worry about people that are doing things in kindness and love, and those are the people that are going to get hurt. Because other people don't give a shit about them. So. All right. Did Amy pop on? Because I was going to go over she'll watch the replay, but I was going to go over the new loom and the, technically the old one. So, let's see. She asked, what is the better form of caffeine? Coffee, tea, soda, or energy drinks? And she said it's coffee. So Amy, you're not exactly right. I was a barista, so I do actually have some knowledge on this one for once. It's not just my fucking opinion. So, but my fucking opinion is awesome. No, seriously. The deeper the roast of the coffee, actually, the less caffeinated it is because you're actually roasting out the caffeine. Tea is actually the best form of natural forming caffeine unless they add caffeine to it. Soda, again, it can be caffeinated to different levels. So it would actually depend, on the caffeine level of the soda. But tea is probably the best way. It's the best. Like if you drink a cup of black tea compared to a dark roast cup of coffee, you will absolutely get more caffeine from the black tea than you would get from the dark roast of coffee. As for energy drinks. Okay, so the thing with the energy drinks, yes, there's caffeine in it, and that's a boost. But what most people don't realize is the most important thing about the energy drink, which is not, it's kind of a catch-22 here, is the B vitamins. If you took B vitamins, if you took B6, B12, and a B supplement, and you crush those MNFers up and put them down your throat in that lovely powdery gross form and wash them down with some water, you're actually doing yourself a much better justice than taking an energy drink on any day and form, because the caffeine runs the B through your body. And then most energy drinks have taurine in them. And if your energy drink has taurine in them, it is very, very bad for your heart. So if you're an energy drinker and you have anything wrong with your heart, if you have any issues with your heart, I have a heart murmur. My valve kind of claps. So it kind of closes, but it claps when it closes. So there's that little bit of, So taurine makes your heart race. So again, that's what pushes that shit through your system. So it makes your heart race, which makes your blood pump, which makes it push it through your body. And that's why you're always like, because your heart is pumping like a lunatic. You know what I'm saying? But it's not good for you. So again, if you want the best form to get your caffeine fix, then drink black tea. So I think green tea also has caffeine in it, if I remember. I think it's green tea and black tea, but black tea has the most, and then green tea, and then herbal teas, unless it says it's caffeinated, it's not. So, because most herbs don't have caffeine in them. So, all right, that was that question. God, Amy, you had like 8,000 questions. You're not even on here yet. Okay. Zippy Looms. I bought a bunch and made 2 things. Do people still use them? I still use them. I love the Zippies. They're really good for big stuff or doubling stuff or using maybe a 5 weight and making it more airy and light, because sometimes it's a little hard to do that. Once you use a bulky yarn, I guess you could think about it however you want. It's like, all right, well, why use a bulky yarn and make it airy when I could just use a lighter yarn and whatever. So, texture, feeling, squishy. So, listen, you can get your caffeine fix from coffee. That's totally okay. It's just a matter of, if you're asking me which gives the most caffeine in the best way, then it's tea. You know what I'm saying? But if you like coffee and you want caffeine in your coffee, you're better off drinking the lighter roast coffee because they're not processing out a lot of the caffeine. So, hey, I can't hear because I have the sound turned down, but I'll be here in a few. I just realized my mic isn't on, so I sound probably really tinny and bad. So I was rushing around. So let me actually plug this in so this sounds a little bit better. So I remember the last time I did this and it sounded terrible. Okay, does that sound better? Where I don't sound tinny and far away. like I said, drink your coffee. I'm just, if you want the highest amount of caffeine from your coffee, then, you know, drink a lighter roast. Don't drink like a French roast or an espresso roast or stuff like that. The darker the roast, the less the caffeine. So, anyway, you know, you could love coffee and just the taste of coffee. I like coffee just for the taste of coffee. I don't care about the caffeine. So, I actually love iced coffee. You know, flavored iced coffee is one of my favorite things to drink. But, so, anyway, Zippies. Debbie, you can chime in here because I know you don't have a Zippy, but you made a Zippy loom using the Martha Stewart loom. You basically made the same gauge. So you can chime in whether or not, you know, it's worth it. You know, I guess, listen, every loom is worth it depending on what you do. You know, if you're somebody that just makes hats or you just make this, you know, it depends on what you want to do. You know, the Zippy loom is a very large gauge loom, so could you do things? You can do a lot of things on it. You can make hats, you can make gloves, you can make shawls, you can make you can make anything you make, but you have to look for the right pattern. And again, if you see another pattern, to do the changeover to the enormous size that it is, you know, takes some really doing. So, well, you're a rebel. You just do whatever somebody says for you not to do. Oh my god. Pros and cons of the rotating double knit loom if you have it. So I do own it. I do own it. That's all I can say. I own it. I bought it. I tried to double knit in the very beginning, and I ran into the same problem that everybody else does when you're new, is that you start bowing the loom because your tension is terrible. And I just kind of never went back to it. So you'll just drink Kahlua straight. Who said you don't need the fucking coffee? Who you lying? Don't lie. I definitely like the idea again of what they added on, which was the Lazy Susan option, where you could get the pieces and put any loom on it. So you could not have to double knit it. But again, if that's the case, I'll just use something else. So, you know, and when they first made it, the initial topper wasn't really big enough, especially if you double knit it, because it's tighter. So it wasn't making like a real adult size hat. So they made it better when they made the bigger topper and they added those pieces so that it could be a more multifunctional piece. So, again, if you're a person that likes to have your knitting on your lap, like we were talking about this last time, if you like to have it in your lap and on your hands and stuff like that, the rotating loom requires you to sit at a table. So you need to have some kind of table apparatus in front of you to use that loom. So, I'm kind of like down the line with it. Like, I'll always find a purpose for something if that's the case. If you want to ask me what the purpose is, you know, could you use it? Absolutely. There are people that love it. There are people that use it. I own it. I'm not one of them at the moment. I just haven't wrapped my brain around what I want to use it for. You know, I haven't found like a project that I'm like, ooh, I have that loom. I could use that loom and not have to try to figure it out. So, you know, and it's messed up, you know, like, because it's like, they get to call out, but you're stuck going to work. It's like, how is that fair? Like, you know, it's like, what, the first person to the phone to be like, I'm sick, I don't want to come in, you know? You know, it's like, that's why, like, some places, like the Manor up here is, like, the old folks home up here, it's called the Manor. They basically put the place on lockdown. They're like, no, you're here, you can't leave. Yep. Because they don't want people leaving and coming home and going back and forth, because, again, you're compromising by leaving. So, like I said, I wasn't impressed with it when it first came out. I had to have it because it was the newest thing and I wanted to try it out and stuff like that. I think it became a better loom when they designed the bigger topper, and then especially when they designed it so it could hold any loom. So it was a good way to, like, market it like, hey, here's a Lazy Susan that we made that will hold all of your looms. So they were quick to turn it into a multi-functioning tool. So, you know, you would still want it if you didn't want to use the double knit part of the topper. You would want to buy it and then buy those extra little pieces so you can put any loom on it and strap them down. A Lazy Susan's cheaper. It's just lower to the ground. What else? Teddy asked about alternatives to toilet paper. I don't think you want those answers, but because Teddy's here, if you're old school farming, you could use a corn cob, or buy a fucking bidet, or I shared a video on my personal page. You could use a tabot. It's a tabot. You know what a tabot is? It's the soapy water, and you wipe your ass with your hand, and then you wash your hands in the tabot. Tabot, you wash your butt with the hand, and you wash, yeah. So if you get fucked, wash your ass. You know, towels are washable until they shut the fucking water off and you can't get any shit to clean them with. I guess an alternative, you know, get the little pail with the soapy water and wash your butt. So we have a new girl that keeps ringing sick on the weekends. Not impressed. Well, again, you have those people that, you know, they want a job, they need money, but, you know, you don't want to cramp their lifestyle. You know, they gotta go out and have their drinks at fucking, you know, Friday, you know, and then they need to recover on Sunday. So it's like, I can't work, you know, Saturday because I'm trashed from Friday, and I can't work Sunday because I'm trashed from Saturday, you know, or I just kept going the whole way through and I'll barely make it there on Monday, you know. I know. So yes, the squirt bottle works, but again, what are you going to do if you get a little clinging, you know? You got to get in there. You baby's butts, you know better than that. Sticky poop. Anyway. There you go. Take a shit in the kitty litter. But you still got to wipe your butt, you know, unless you're going to pull your cheeks apart and, like, literally lay a dump on, you know? The reason that, like, dogs and cats usually don't have shit on their ass is because their ass kind of turns almost inside out. And then it goes back in. I have 5 dogs and 3 cats, and I actually had a cat with an anal prolapse, so I do not want you to ask me any more than that. So fuck off. Anyway. So, I don't think there was... I think Kia asked about patterns, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to find my other post. It kind of got lost. Yeah, some project ideas to keep the mind busy during the coronavirus, things that aren't complicated, little things. Definitely some of and I know, Kia, you were having like a huge problem with Scarlett's animals. Her stuff is like absolutely not beginner level, and it's on the back line of intermediate. It's more advanced. So, like, where some of it's intermediate, and it, you know, again, if you understand basic principles, you can go along with her. Her videos, and I haven't seen all of them. I know for a lot of her videos, it's supposed to go hand in hand with the actual written. So, if you're missing something, it might be because she's not explaining it, because she's assuming you have the written pattern in front of you. So that might be something to look into if you want to do something and like you're like, all right, I'm missing something. There's a gap of understanding. It's because her videos are supposed to go hand in hand with her writtens. So I know she usually used to say it, but I don't know. I haven't watched a video of hers in a while. I'm gonna be honest. Sorry, Scarlett. I love you, but I haven't. So she makes beautiful stuff, and she does her very best to have patterns that, you know, she writes them out and she takes careful time and she redesigns the patterns when they're not right and stuff like that. But I know from the beginning that she did her videos to be a companion to the written video, not a alternative. So something to look into. But for small projects, let's see. I mean, there's always the easy, the hat, the dishcloths. You know, yoga socks are fun, so they're all the idea of a sock without all the hassle, which means you get to skip the heel and the toe part. So it's kind of a sock, like a tile sock with no toes and no heels. That was actually the second thing I ever learned how to make, because I don't like to wear socks because it like covers my foot and it bothers me. And I made tons of Bernat yarn yoga socks, and I know Toodlet, I do this every week. She has a pattern on how to do those, and I think Lumahat does have one too. But those are a great thing, and people love those because, again, it's, you know, it keeps your calf warm, it keeps the round part of your foot warm, but you still get the flexibility of having your toes breathe. And, you know, and again, if you don't understand socks, it's a good way to understand some of it. You know what I'm saying? It gets you into an idea because you have to work certain pegs and unwork certain pegs without, you know, actually building the heel and building the toe. So, what else? I mean, if anybody else could think of simple projects, I thought I did something a while ago. Hold on, I'm gonna go get it. Don't worry, I didn't go far. Oy. Oh, I need tissues anyway. So I made this. So all I did was use the spool loom, and I did a really long piece, and then I connected the two pieces right here. I'm sure there was a better way to do it, but I chose to do it that way. So, and it's a scarf. So, and it looks kind of cool. You know, and you can make it longer, or, you know, you can move some of the pieces up and down. You know what I'm saying? So more of like a fashionable scarf more than it is a, you know, a usable scarf. I mean, I could tighten it up and make it a little bit thicker onto my neck. But, you know, this is something you do mindlessly too, you know, some kind of yarn that you're like, oh, I only have one skein for it, I have nothing to do with. That's what I did with this, because it wasn't enough to like do something. Maybe I could have done a hat, but I wasn't feeling it. I was like, I want to do something different. Yep, coronavirus. That's it. We're all going to die. I'm going to infect you through the computer. But anyway, other small projects. Comfort dolls. Comfort dolls are, if you don't go crazy and you don't like trying to like do some of the really whacked out things that some of the people do, or, you know, even, you know, I would just start at a very basic level. Like you see some of the women that they just do the little guys and maybe a little hat on top, you know, because you don't have to worry about actual arms and actual legs, because you just kind of sew those little areas, you know, so it makes the looking of it, you know. And comfort dolls are great because a lot of places, you know, like Child Protective Services and stuff like that, they would love those things in donations. So, because they're great things to give the kids. So, yes, my yoga socks, right? They were a big hit when I first started doing those. So, I was actually going to group therapy at the time, and people were paying me to make them because I'd be sitting there and I wouldn't give two shits about like what's going on, and I'm like, and I'm sitting there and people would be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, not listening, and they're like, no, what's that you're doing? I'm like, oh, I'm making yoga socks, you know. And then like I made a pair, and there was some lady, she's like, oh, I love those, make me a pair, you know. So I was making some bank while being in therapy, but yeah, yoga socks are fun. You know, something like this is fun, just a nice spool loom, you know, or even just, you know, you could use 3 or 4 pegs and go E-wrap and it'll just start curling on itself, so you don't have to worry. So, comfort dolls are, like, they're so cute. I want to make them. I just, you know, I'm always like, I'm going to make something. I have like a million patterns saved away and stuff like that. I just refuse to have a million things. Like, I've actually spent the last couple of days trying to finish up stuff that I had going. So, like, I was doing, remember I did that black and white hat with the gloves, and I was doing the leg warmers? Well, I finished the leg warmer last night, so I have a blanket that I was doing, but it's way too late to give it away, so I think I'm just going to make it longer and keep it for myself. You know, and then my daughter wants a hat, so I'm going to start on that. You know, I just got to go with the flow. You know, and my biggest thing is, I said it last time, is like, even if I fuck something up or like whatever, I just refuse to take it out. I'm just like, you know what? I'll learn from my mistake. I'll get through it and move on. You know, like I made that, I originally said it was supposed to be a shawl. So I was using one pattern, didn't equate for something, then I moved it to a bigger loom, and I still didn't, it wasn't big enough. So I'm like, all right, well, I've already wasted all this time. What do I do with it? So it's like, okay. So I made buttonholes. I have buttons on order. It's going to be a nice big triangle cowl, and I'm going to add the fringe to it. So, you know, turn it into something else. Or if it's a hat and it's too small, give it away, you know. But you can learn through that mistake and just finishing the project, because even if it's not right, at least you can have that end accomplishment that you finished it. At least that's how I feel about it. So, hold on, I missed something. Scrubbies. I have the KB28, never won. You could skip a peg, but again, you might want to wrap 2 pegs as one. You know what I'm saying? So you're making it looser. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're still gonna have that little rub up against on the side, but if you skip every other peg, you're gonna have a lot of spacing. So swatch it up, but I would definitely do 2 pegs as one, unless you're talking about double knitting. If you're talking about double knitting, then you have to ask somebody else. I know you could, but I can't tell you the outcome of that. But if you're doing it single raked, I would suggest wrapping 2 pegs as one with the thicker yarn than to skip a peg. Just my opinion. Why are you screaming at me, Teddy? What'd I do? Or you just wanted me to answer that question? So, because if you wanted me to answer that question, I did. So, what else? Okay, so, yeah, I would, like I said, I maybe do a small piece, because especially that, it's going to work up really, really quickly, and you're not going to worry about, you know, doing a big piece and then the yarn being all effed up and wasting yarn just to swatch. So, I would definitely do that. I would wrap 2 pegs as one. Again, like I said, you're still going to have that little roughness, but you'll be able to knit it over so easily because you're wrapping it over the 2 pegs and you go in between the 2 pegs and pull it off. The reason people don't do the saw is because it's really fucking hard to get off at that point because everything is smashed in. So, I did a video when I got this. So I don't know if anybody saw it. It was just like a quick little live video. So this is the KB, the new KB adjustable loom. So I think it was like 50. You know, somebody, if anybody remembers, I think it was around 50. It might have been like 45 plus shipping. So, she wanted to know, she has the KB28 loom, and somebody had told her, because she's doing it on doing the rake, not the double knitting, if she can do every other peg. I mean, she absolutely could do every other peg. I just suggested that she wrap 2 pegs as one, rather than skipping every other peg. So, but I think she wanted your opinion. So anyway, so I did a thing on this where I opened it real quick and gave my opinion on it. If you guys missed that, the video is there, but I'll give a quick little recap. It's made really well. It's really tough plastic. The interconnectors are a real bitch at first. They actually tell you to soap them. You know, they say they'll loosen up a little bit as you use them. So, but just these pieces, you know, just to soap them up so that they slide in and out and you get less of a problem. There's like a little button. Hold on, I gotta cover the light. There's like a little button there that you press to kind of get them out. But they're a little tough because it's brand new, and you know, but once you break it in, that should go away. The pegs come out, so, and they come out with a little bit of a tug. I haven't heard anybody complain as of yet, so they look like they're grooved a little bit better. They do snap in, so compared to like the Martha Stewart loom. I think they, like I said, they took a lot of what went wrong with the Martha Stewart loom and said, okay, we know where they fucked up, so we're gonna fix it. So this is the adjustable hat loom. So it's not as big as the new loom is. I'm sure if I put all these pieces together, it might be the same size as the main. I had to dig this out. So, I know it was built on the same design because everyone did enjoy this one. So there's like these interconnecting pieces. It's a little weird, this one, because it's not designed for every other one. There are female pieces and then there are male pieces. So it was designed a little bit differently, so it only has a certain amount of configurations. compared to the new loom, which has a lot more configurations. So I'm just going to snap this little guy together. So this is a small, you know, just a small showing. Again, there's all these other pieces here, you know. So if I'm not mistaken, it kind of makes the same size as this. So somebody who's used it more, remind me. I can't tell you I have used it recently. And again, it does have these are stationary. The way this is set up, these pegs are stationary. The ones that are in are stationary. So they did give pegs, all these little gray pegs, to put in between. So I'm going to put one in so we can kind of, if I'm not mistaken, the gauging is the same, because everyone really did like this adjustable hat loom, but it was limited in the same regard. So so let's take this little piece. So if I take these pieces, so the gauging is exactly the same. So because if I take this piece out, then it's 3/4, because I remember the bigger gauge. The bigger gauge is definitely 3/4. I forget the smaller gauge. But so basically, if you have this and you're not gonna like look to make a blanket on it or whatever, you just want to be able to do different configurations of maybe hat. Again, this was a hat loom, so it was designed to do baby hats to adult hats. So if you have this and you're not planning on doing anything else with it, then do you need the other loom? Not really. If it's a choice between this loom and that loom, get this loom, the purple one, because it has more function. You know, this was cheaper when it came out. Again, it was their first idea of designing something that was different gauge. You could adjust the gauge and you could adjust the size. Where the other looms, the all-in ones, just adjust the size. You can't adjust the gauge. I mean, you can if you wrap multiple pegs, but it's not set up that way. You have to figure it out. You have to do the math. It's like, okay, if that's 7/16 and that's 7/16, put it together, do the math, split it up. You know what I mean? But, you know, the new multifunctional loom, they basically took this, which people loved, which had quite a lot of function. There were a lot of people that were making patterns for this. I know that for a fact. And looked at the Martha Stewart loom and said, okay, challenge accepted. We can make it better. So, like I said, I haven't used the loom, so I can't speak to it right now, but I have not heard a bad word. Like when the Martha Stewart looms came out, people were bitching right away. You know, and if you have that loom, please don't throw it in the garbage. First things first, do not throw it in the garbage. There are people that actually do love that loom. Before you give up on it, because again, I know a couple people are like, oh, I have it, you know, and the fucking pegs come out. And they do. They come out. So, although I have a couple of people say they don't, but for the most part they do. You know, if you're a little more tight with your knitting and stuff like that, you're definitely going to pull them out. So I know people that pull them out of their, you know, their KK looms and pull them out of their other plastic looms, because Cindy Wood glues them in unless you ask them not to. By the way, if you did not know that, if you own a Cindy Wood loom and you would like to change your pegs, like you'd like to interchange your colors and things like that, I think Amanda has them make hers with her pegs not glued in, but you can ask them when you make an order, you can send a special request for them not to glue them in. So they are tight in there, but they can come out. So like you can order extra pegs. Again, Cindy Wood will sell you extra pegs. You have to ask them. If you're in their group, Chrissy Hunter, you can contact her or just call their customer service. They will sell you pegs, because I have a bunch of pegs because I was trying to do something. So I bought a whole bunch of single pegs for them. You know, they're not going to sell you hundreds and hundreds of them, so don't ask. You know, they're not going to do that. But, you know, if you want like 40 pegs of a color and 40 pegs of a different color so that you can interchange, they will sell them to you. So just know that. But you can get those not glued in. But I've seen people pull pegs out of their plastic looms, and they're not glued in either, but they're just so shoved in there. But I've seen people be like, I pulled the peg out. Not that I broke it. They pulled it out. I've seen people break them too. And note on the breaking part, just real quick, because I am going to have to get off because I think my phone is going to die. But so if you, they will also do the pegs as you like and the gauges and all this. Yeah, absolutely. They will custom anything. But I think people don't realize, like, they order them and like, oh, I really like that, I want to order it different. Or they see that they do, you know, because they do have some of the looms that are colored, like Amanda's loom. She had a loom design that they sell It was the glove loom. You bought the loom, and you got her patterns because it was designed the way she designed the loom. I have that one, you know what I'm saying? But they glue in the pegs unless you ask them not to. So just to let people know that we're thinking about it. But they absolutely, and I do say it somewhere, that they will customize stuff. You just have to wait. They might charge you a little bit more, but it's not insane. It's not insane. If you want something customly done, it's not insane. So, and custom things will get you, you know, maybe you design something. I mean, I think that's how the X loom came along, because I know Scarlett had something to do with that. It was the idea of the really big looms, but it's like really fucking hard to maneuver them. So the X loom created a better maneuverability, so it's like a smaller space, but you can still knit a larger piece. All right, so last thing of the night. Again, if you break a peg on a loom, what you need to do, depending on if it's a fine gauge, you're gonna have a bit of a trouble. Might as well just drill the hole out and put something else in it. If you don't want to drill it out or whatever, don't just glue it. I know that's an easy remedy. And if you're just trying to finish something, if you can get a glue and clean it and get it to adhere. If you want to fix it the best way, you know, without, again, some of them but I know not everybody has enough money. It's like, all right, if I broke a plastic loom at that point, I'd probably toss it. No, fuck you, I'm not lying. I would not toss it, I'd fix it, even though I have like probably 7 of the same loom. The best thing to do would be get like a jeweler's bit for a Dremel, if you have a Dremel, or if you have, if you do have a drill, you know, get a very, very small, fine bit, and you'll have to drill a hole in the center, and then take a brad nail, which is a finishing nail. It's a very thin, it's like a pinhead nail. Put that in there, okay? Again, and then you'll have to drill in the peg, so you might have to, there's a lot to do this, but if you really want to save it and you have the ability to do so, you know, you get you get the thing, I can't remember what it's called, you know, it grips it closed or whatever, and you drill into the peg, then you glue it, because at least it has the brad nail on both ends inside supporting it. Because if you just glue piece to piece, the pressure is just going to break the glue. But if you have the pin in it, you know what I'm saying? If you push on it, that pin is now its support. So that would be the best way to fix it. You know, because I always see people like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of doing something, and it's like, is there any way to fix this? And it's like, yeah. Could you glue it right back? You could, but you're probably going to break it again. So, and, you know, it's one of those, you know, all right, well, you could keep gluing it, but eventually you put so much glue on it, you're not going to be able to get it off. So the best way would be to take the project, either take it off or maybe take a couple of pieces off, use stitch markers to hold your stitches. You know, you can stitch marker the whole thing and take it off. You know, I don't think people know that. Like, you can just do that. As long as your stitch markers are locking, you can literally put a stitch marker in every place and take it off, and then you can just have the loom empty and then fix the peg. Fix it the right way, because you're going to regret not fixing it the right way and just trying to finish that project with a broken loom than just either tossing the loom and getting a brand new one and putting it all back on, or fixing that loom the right way. Because as you work through the project, because a lot of people are usually like, well, I'm halfway through it, you know, they're always at that point, they don't want to take it out. So fix it the right way at that point. So, but, hi Amanda, I was actually brought you up. We were talking about the Cindy Wood looms, and I was talking about the loom, the glove loom. I bought that one. So we were talking about them, you know, if you ask them, they will not glue the pegs in. So, but, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else. I think I touched on everything that anyone asked me. You know, like I said, the new KB loom and the adjustable hat loom are the same gauges. So this just, the new one has absolutely more function. So, you know, if you felt like, oh, you know, I wanted to get the hat loom and I missed out on it, don't worry, this is better. It was a built upon design between that and the idea that the Martha Stewart loom was supposed to give us. So, but on that note, I am gonna go. I'm sweating tonight, I don't know why. I mean, I do have a sweater on, but I'm kind of comfy and just kind of hot. So, unless anybody else has anything else, I hope everybody stays safe. I hope everybody stays coronavirus free. You know, if you don't have to go out, please don't. You know, if not for you, think of other people. You know, you're like, you know, if you're one of those people, I never get sick, you know, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to just stay home. You know what I'm saying? If you can say it's not a big deal, why can't I go out? Well, if it's not a big deal, then just stay home. You know, for us lovely introverted people who have been living their lives, you know, in the house, this is like, yeah, I mean, I don't have to go anywhere, fuck yeah. But, yeah, please, everybody, stay safe, you know, and I'm sure we'll get through it, so I'm sure it'll get worse before it gets better, but I think it'll get better, so. On that note, I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.